Hello folks, C.W. Johnson Jr. here, with another idea from history that I'm going to short pitch as a movie. Today's idea from history that I think should be a movie is the First Rhode Island Regiment in the American Revolution. They were an integrated regiment made up of mostly African Americans, former slaves fighting to be freed because they had enlisted into the ranks of the regiment, dispossessed Native Americans, and poor whites. They are known as the Black Regiment because of the amount of people of color within its ranks. Now, I did a blog post on That Should Be a Movie webseries.com a couple months ago about the First Rhode Island Regiment. I would greatly appreciate it if you would head over that way and take a look at it. Give it a like if there's make the views on it go up. Give it more traffic. Maybe make it go up in the Google search results. Or DuckDuckGo if you do that, or Bing. But some of the books I consulted were From Slaves to Soldiers, the First Rhode Island Regiment in the American Revolution by Robert A. Geek, with Laureen M. Spears from West Home Yardley. I also consulted Standing in Their Own Light, African Americans in the American Revolution by Judith L. Van Buskirk from Oklahoma University Press. It's part of the Campaign and Commander series, which is a pretty cool history series, making history more affordable and accessible to the common man, so it's in the public domain of history. Great series. So those are the books I consulted to my research on this. Of course, I also did have to go online sometimes, look at a Wikipedia article. But we're not going to put that in the footnotes, are we? So without further ado, here is my short pitch for the Rhode Island Regiment in the American Revolution. Now, its title is the First Rhode Island Regiment. That's the working title for now. Or we could call it the Black Regiment. It's a war drama. Its tone is like Glory, Academy Award-winning film. It is like The Patriot meets Hidden Figures. The American Revolution meets the Civil Rights Movement. It follows dispossessed Native Americans and former slaves training to be soldiers, and strict disciplinarian officer Jeremiah Onwing, as they train and become a unit to fight British tyranny and deals with American racism. Problems arise when beloved commander Christopher Green, who was cousin to Nathaniel Greene, a great American history hero, who needs a lot more attention than he gets. He deserves a monument up there on the mall. And several men of the regiment, mostly black men, are killed at the Pine Bridge Massacre on the Cotton River, just up the way over in Bronx County, Westchester County up that way. Worcester? Is it Worcester? Westchester. Just up there on the Bronx River, that area. Now, Onwee oversees the regiment, whose soldiery abilities he has doubted due to their former status as slaves. He did not think they could be trained into being a fighting force because they were so submissive and had to always keep their heads down when they were slaves. Together, they will become a force that will contribute to America's independence at Yorktown. My unique approach would be showing how the common soldiers of the American Revolution, especially men of color, lived, fought, and died on the ground, while statesmen waxed eloquent about liberty. The idea came to me when the debate about kneeling for the national anthem started, and I remembered that African American men fought and died for America even when slavery was still legal in the U.S. Like some of these men who were fighting for freedom for the United States, they had relatives and family members and friends who are still enslaved. Yet they claimed America as their own. They fought for it, and because of that, they need to be honored. Set piece. Pardon me for a moment here. Yes, Mr. Producer, I appreciate the fact that you brought me out here to this wonderful cafe to discuss this wonderful idea from history over a cup of coffee. All right. Great set piece would be Christopher Green successfully defending black soldiers One, Winston Fry, had been found guilty of theft and sentenced to the firing. One Winston Fry had been found guilty of theft and sentenced to the firing squad. Greene wrote to George Washington that times had changed, and Washington granted Fry a full pardon. He would also serve in the regiment for the rest of the war. Greene also hired a lawyer to defend Prince Greene, who had shot an intruder, a white man, in the back of the head. Despite being found guilty of manslaughter, Prince was allowed to stay in the regiment. Greene's actions would have an influence on Ennalee's character arcs. After becoming colonel of the regiment after Greene's death, Ennalee defended a black soldier, Fortune Stoddard, from charges of manslaughter. After becoming colonel of the regiment, whoa, got a frog in my throat today. After becoming colonel of the regiment, Ennalee defended a black soldier, Fortune Stoddard, from charges of manslaughter. He wrote a letter to George Washington arguing that Stoddard had killed a white man in the line of duty, and out of self-defense, since the white man had been starting a riot. Washington concurs and gives Stoddard a full pardon. He also serves in the regiment for the rest of the war. Another set piece would be the regiment celebrating victory at Redoubt No. 10 at Yorktown. Even though only a company from the regiment with 2 black men took part in the attack in real life, I think poetic license could be taken, and so African Americans, Native Americans, Spanish Americans represent their contribution down in the Gulf Coast, and poor white Americans celebrating in unity as symbolic of the contributions that those demographics made to the American Revolution. Like that one more time. Even though only a company with only 2 black men had taken part in the attack, I think poetic license could be taken and show African Americans, Native Americans, Spanish Americans, and poor white Americans celebrating in unity as symbolic of the contributions that those demographics made to the American Revolution and to gaining our independence that we celebrate and cherish today. Target audiences would be history buffs, military historians, and war movie fans. I believe young men between the later teens and early 30s would want to watch it. It deals with the universal themes of brotherhood, patriotism, freedom, discipline, courage in the face of bigotry, and sacrifice. Those are the themes that will appeal to the audience and put people in the theater seats, Mr. Producer. So, that's why I believe that the First Rhode Island Regiment should be honored with a movie, especially to honor all the African American veterans who have served this country throughout its history, even though it has not always served and honored African American men. After all, since African American men have contributed to the founding of this country, in fact, some even were in states where it was legal for them to vote when the Constitution was passed, so they voted to ratify the Constitution. Since African American men have always contributed to American history and to gaining American rights and independence, then they themselves deserve the same benefits of those rights and freedoms as Americans. That is why the story of the First Rhode Island Regiment should be a movie. Thank you all for watching. Greatly appreciate it. Please give the like button down there a big thumbs up and subscribe and share this video with all your friends, so the story of the First Rhode Island Regiment can get out there and we can honor black men's contributions to our history, perhaps one day with a movie about the First Rhode Island Regiment. Thank you. God bless America. God bless our veterans, and God bless you.